Hello everyone, welcome back. Well, in today's video, we are going to implement Azure SQL database, and we'll check the application. We'll implement .NET Core Console app so that this app can fetch the data from Azure SQL database. All right. This is the two steps for this lab. First, we'll create the SQL database, or we'll implement the Azure SQL database. And in the second part of this lab, we will create the .NET Core Console app, and we'll try to fetch the sample data from the Azure SQL database. So let's go ahead and start doing it. And while performing all the steps, I'll keep informing you about the features and things about the Azure SQL database. So if I let's search SQL database on the top, and there are so many options that you can see. I'm going to click on Azure SQL database, click on new. Now, before I go and create it, I just want to tell you there are like three options for Azure SQL database. If I search here, you'll see we have Azure SQL database. This is the PaaS service. We need SQL Server to place the database. We have Elastic Pool, which is also variation of Azure SQL database, not exactly the variation, but we can put all the SQL databases inside a pool and assign a particular amount of vCore storage and memory for that pool. And this is useful for the databases which has all those databases would have varying usage of the database, like all are not going on the same time at the peak. Okay, so that thing we'll make cover all these things in deep in the later videos. Just to inform you, for this lab there are like three different ways. One is Azure SQL database, another one SQL Elastic Pool is again the part of Azure SQL database, or then we have Azure SQL managed instance, which is also a PaaS service, and it is very common to use during the migration from the on-premises, because this is almost 100% compatible with all the parities and the features that Azure SQL on-prem DB has. And the third one is just like the on-premises that we always had, SQL on a virtual machine. So these are various ways, but right now we are only creating Azure SQL DB. So I'm choosing SQL resource group. Okay. We know we always need a resource group to place any resource in the Azure, and it is one of the best feature. Database name, you can give any name to your database. I would like to give it like SQL demo or something that will okay, SQL demo. Let me do this name. Okay, and I need the server as well. I'm going to create a new server for this database. I'm going to give this name SQL demo server. Okay, and already in use. Okay, let me put some numbers. This is just like we give name to the storage account or any other PaaS service which is publicly available on the PaaS service. We should have the unique name for those public DNSs. Okay, now I'm going to give the name for the SQL login. This is SQL authentication. This video is all about the lab, so don't worry about the theory and the features and things like that. Let me put it in East US. It's fine. Let it be there. Okay, now I need the compute and storage, so we can simply go ahead and click on configure, and there are various options that we can choose. This is a demo, so let's choose the serverless so that we only pay for the time we're going to use or run those transactions. But there are multiple ways that you can choose. There is an older way. If I click here, you'll have the DTUs, the old way of selecting the configuration or the SKU or the tiers. This is the vCore based new one, which is general purpose, business critical, and hyperscale. All right, so let's click serverless, click on apply and go to networking. We want it public so that we can access it through storage account or not. Yeah, that's fine. Then we want to add this client's IP in the firewall. We have firewall on SQL database, so there is a protection on the network layer. Click on security, advanced settings. We want the sample database, so I'm going to choose sample. Click review and create. Okay, now it will take a few minutes because it will also create the SQL server that I've chosen. The SQL server is a management server on which we will place our databases. Okay, I already have one database. While it is in progress, it will take some time. Let me take you through the database. This is in Canada Central. If you click here, set server firewall, this is where I was placing my client's IP so that I could access the SQL server and check what is there in the sample database. And this server firewall you can also see on the server. This is SQL server, that was the database, right? If you come down here, firewalls and virtual network, we have these client IP address we can add here, or anyone who wants to access maybe your virtual network, you can add your virtual network here as well. This is this feature you must have seen on the storage account and the other PaaS services, right? It's a wonderful feature for sure. Now, I was talking about the Elastic Pool in the beginning. Here you have the Elastic Pool option. You can place a couple of databases here and assign the combine vCore or config that I was showing you at the beginning, like, vCore or DTU model. So you can select some configuration for all the databases in the Elastic Pool. You can remove it and you can place it again from the database. Active Directory admin, this will help you to hook up your SQL database or SQL server to the Azure Active Directory so that you can centrally manage all the users, right? All right, so there's so many things that I think I should go ahead and create a couple of more videos regarding all the SQL servers, like, managed instance on VM, this SQL server, the disaster recovery options like geo-replication or failover groups, backups. There's so many things that we can cover about the security. We do have firewall, but we can also connect it with the security center. We do have TD. This is encryption at rest. All right, so but this particular video is all about configuring or implementing Azure SQL and hook it up with the .NET Core Console app so that we can fetch the data. Very simple app just to get familiar yourself with the Azure SQL. So let's go and open our SQL server as the deployment to succeed. So this is our SQL server, and if you go on this click on set server firewall, you'll find the IP of your client. Here is my client. I'm inside the RDP, and this is the IP address. It has already been added. So what this will allow me to do, I can simply click on query editor, and I can access through SQL Server authentication. We can also activate the Azure Directory Authentication as I showed you already, but SQL Server is fine with us. Now I'm going to run this SQL query to check our sample data. Are we able to fetch the data from our sample that we have chosen at the beginning while the creation? So I can easily fetch top 20 name and the category name or the product name. You can see it down at the bottom. So that means our SQL Server is implemented fine. We are able to run the queries on the sample data. Now what we want to create a .NET app and try to fetch this data through that console app. You know, what we need for that, we need the application, we need the connectivity between the application and the SQL Server, that is connection string. And then we need the access, of course, the firewall access. So let's go quickly and try do that. I'm going to click on the Cloud Shell. This is the best way to perform this lab. Easy and simple. Cloud Shell, I'm going to choose Bash, not the PowerShell. And if you want, you can also do this on your virtual machine if you have on Windows, or you can also choose the Linux if you have .NET CLI. All right, so I need to create one directory here. I'm gonna give it a name, demo. I'm going inside the demo. Okay, now the very simple, we need to type .NET new console. This will run and it will give me few basic files. You see it's created. It will give me CS project, demo CS project, and one more file, CS file. If I click ls, I'll see all these files, program.cs and demo.cs project. In the program.cs, I need to put down one reference. Let me open this up through VI editor. This is something the developer's thing. So I'm not a developer and I don't know much about this type of coding. Of course, I know a lot about the IAC coding, but not this kind of application coding. So I'm just copying it from the Microsoft documentation. Oh, I think I should have not removed the entire. So let me quit from here. I need to quit from here and then we'll, because I have not saved, so this should be there, right? What I need to place my, I think I have opened this program.cs, right? Program.cs, where I need to put the little code with the connection string. I'm going to show you. And before I do this, I'll share this code that I'm using for this particular lab. And this will help you to perform your lab. So I'm going to paste it. There it is. This is a simple one-liner code, and I need to put down my connection string right here. Okay. So if you want to do this lab, do check the description in the box and below the video. You can access this through GitHub, I think, and or through the Microsoft documentation, and you can copy it and do this demonstration or lab. So for this, I need connection string. So let me quickly go ahead and go back to my SQL database and copy my connection string. Here it is, connection string. I need to copy this. Now there is this. Let me open the notepad so that I could configure my simple, okay, let me format it. Password, it says your password. So for demo, I put down a very simple password. Okay, let me use this connection string and put it there. Hopefully I did not mess with any code. So I would be able to configure this. Just come here. I'm also from the Windows background, so this black screen, not the blue, of course. I like the blue, but the Linux or Bash or this screen, I'm new with all this, so you can easily see the way I'm working on that. But I'm learning, and I would think it's a good thing, and you should learn also if you are just like me, like Windows background and non-coding background. But it's fine. So this has configured. We also need to configure the CS project file. So let me open the editor again. And this time I just need to add one line which will reference like system.data.sql client, which will let the this console app know like this is where the SQL client is. System.data.sql client. That's all I need to put it here, and rest of the connection string I have already feed in the program.cs file. Cool. So both the files are good to go. Let's try to run the .NET restore if it works. All right, seems it worked. Now I need to do .NET run. And this will try to connect the SQL database. See, query data example, because we use the sample data, but we got the error. It's all planned error. If you can guess, you can guess, else. That's why I'm like a little slower and giving pause if you are trying to guess. All right, but you know, at the beginning I said we need to make sure it can talk to the SQL because there is a firewall, right? So I need to set this firewall for this because I'm doing this on the cloud shell. So I need to figure out the IP address of this particular session on which backend it's running on. So let me paste this line, which will help me to figure out the public IP address right here. I need to copy this. And I need to place this IP address in the firewall. Save it. Now, because there is a connection string that we put in the program.cs, and now it is able to go and unable to create the connection because there is a firewall. Now I've placed the IP. Now I hope .NET run, it should be able to fetch the data. Now it's again querying the data example. It should, yes, there we go. Now it's able to fetch the data that we were doing through the query editor. If you remember, I went there and I put down like top 20 rows, right? And I was getting the same name, if you remember. Let me show you if I can. I wrote frames, right? You see the same. So this is a very simple lab just to get the feel of your of Azure SQL database, how it connects, the connection string, firewall, and the various other features that I talked during the lab. But I'm planning to cover a lot more. Let's see. Well, thank you for watching and you have a good day. Bye-bye.